everyone, and welcome back to The Unfolding, presented by the Loveland Foundation. My name is Miriam.starobin, and you guessed it, I'm so excited to share with you this very special recap episode for 2022. Our theme here at the Loveland Foundation for the year of 2022 has been ritual. Ritual as our theme is rooted in this being the third year of a global pandemic. Year 1 was a survival year. Year 2, we attempted to process the scale of loss and change. And in year 3, we needed the tools to move forward. Each episode this year, we asked our guests to share the tool of ritual and how they incorporated it into their lives. Here are their responses. Chloe, Dulce, Louvouezo. I'd love to know what ritual means to you, how you've been able to create different rituals in your life.
As I think about it as a mother of my son, I mean, ritual. I have friends who are starting to have babies, just had babies. And when I think about when I started ritual with my son, it was like at like 3 weeks old. We were starting ritual.
Like,
And
in what ways?
I mean, I am the most militant when it comes to like uh, sleep training.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I think kids are such a beautiful metaphor for how the human how the human life works.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about the importance of like sleep training, but also just consistency with children,
Mm-hmm.
it is, kids are absorbing like thousands of things, new things a day. The colors, the lights, the engagements, the sounds, everything is new. And they are so sensitive to like the absorption of all of these new things.
Mm-hmm.
As I think about, if they have consistency, while everything else can be new and confusing, overwhelming and daunting, they know that that person's their person, or they know that that's their bed. They know at the end of the night, though the daytime may be overwhelming, they know that they can count on being able to rest their spirit at night. That is just when they're babies, but as we grow into young kids and young children and young adults and adulting, it's the ritual grounds us and is a reassurance that while they may not be for me, they may be demanding this of me, they may be pulling my spirit in a way that feels inauthentic to who I am, my ritual reminds me of who I am.
Dr. Ebony. I'd love to hear if you have any rituals when it comes to food and that you'd be willing to share with us.
I do. One of the things that I learned as I was in my journey of unlearning, and one of the things that I'm always doing is unlearning and fighting my own internalized fat phobia and all that stuff, because it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
How can it not be? Is one of the things I learned is that in the Japanese culture, it's a mission. It's on purpose to sit with food and enjoy. Like the emotion that is required is joy. The state is joy. So Japanese culture, there's just joy around food. So one of the rituals that I really try to stick to is, how does this make me feel joy? And I literally get excited. I get excited when it's popcorn night for me. Like on Fridays, I want to sit down and watch a movie, and I want to pop all the popcorn, and I want to eat all the popcorn, and that's exactly what I intend to do. So my ritual is finding moments of joy where I can with food.
Phoebe Robinson. What does ritual mean to you, Phoebe Robinson, and in what ways do you create rituals in your life?
I think I will use the example of my ritual in the mornings. Like I'll work out and then, I'll like shower, have breakfast, either do some writing or like I'm teaching myself how to play the piano again. I was doing a little bit earlier in quarantine, and then like once my show happened, that became my life. And so then I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna like dedicate this hour to doing this thing and just really, I think for me, I was very distracted because I had a million things going on. So rituals, it's just like, if for this hour all I'm doing is exercising, great. If for these 2 hours all I'm doing is writing, great. If for this hour all I'm doing is like practicing the piano, great. I'm really trying to not always have my phone and be like picking up and answering texts and checking emails. I'm just like, all of that is just distraction. So I really try to have a focus, and that is my rituals. Like, just be present for every part of your day. And I think that's something that I really had to learn as a reformed workaholic, because I think being a workaholic is like you actually in certain ways aren't particularly present. And so now my ritual is, if I'm going to eat, really eat. Like, I don't need to watch TV while I'm eating. I can just eat a salad and just experience that thing. So I don't know. I don't know if that like resonates with anyone, but I just think like not being distracted is what I'm really trying to focus on in my mid-30s at this point.
Madison McFerrin. So I would love to know what ritual means to you, and if you have any specific ones that you are leaning towards in this season of life that we're in, that you feel like sharing.
My biggest rituals that I stick to, I write in my journal every day, which I've tried to do for several years now, and have finally gotten into the swing of it.
Ooh, then there's hope for us.
There is hope. I like that. And I started Christmas 2020, and I have written every day since then. And
amazing.
It's varied and wavered between, 3 pages to like a sentence to make sure that I didn't miss a day. But in October, I had shows in Prague, and very randomly. And when I came back, I was super jet lagged, and I was waking up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, which is like not me at all. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And so I was waking up, and I had enough time where I didn't have an excuse to like just write down a sentence or a paragraph or something. And it like restarted my fire to keep writing. And so now since then, it's like, unless I like really do not have any time, I write down at least a page every day.
Wow.
And it's usually the very first thing that I do. Only exceptions are like if I have something that like I need to get to, and like I'm just not going to have time to do it, but I still make sure that I make time to do it. And like even on today's like today, where I had an early morning class, I wake up early enough to be able to write down a page. Like that's been a thing that's been very grounding and centering. And it's like pre-pandemic, or like not pre-pandemic, but pre-starting this ritual, I had finished, in my entire life, I had finished one journal. It was always like I get somewhat there, I get into a groove, and then it falls off, and it's like my life is busy, so I make excuses for why I can't write. And since starting, I'm on my third journal right now, and the second journal that I finished in December, it was a really thick one, and it's like Moleskine makes like an extra large thick one. And when I got it, I was very clearly in my mind, I knew that a flip had been switched, or a switch had been flipped, which
we don't need to sit on idioms, right? Here. That's okay.
You pick up what I'm putting down. Where like in the past, you know how sometimes you like try and talk yourself into something, but in the back of your mind, you're like, you ain't gonna do that,
Absolutely.
And it was like, I saw this really big journal, and I was like, I'm gonna finish that.
Shanina, dionna. So, ritual. What does ritual mean to you? And what kind of role, if any, does ritual play in your life?
Well, thank you for that question. grocery shopping. Honestly, I'm a practicing vegan. I've been a practicing vegan for now 5 years, and about 5 years, and just this beautiful, almost therapeutic act of going and choosing my produce. And a lot of times I'm choosing the same thing. So my sweet potatoes, my avocados, my dark leafy greens that I wash off in apple cider vinegar and water, once I get home. And that's part of my rituals. It's aiding in my internal health, my physical health, my mental health. And it's just one of those things. Grocery shopping, I love it. And then also finding, when I have it in my budget, I do my best to stay within my budget when I go to grocery shopping and get like my luxury items. So like one of them being a $20 bottle of truffle oil, which is like this big. But I love it. I'm just like, oh, I got that. I love the flavor. but but it's part of my ritual. I go grocery shopping almost every week, every 1 to 1.5 weeks, because I eat big, I eat a lot, and I'm very active, so I need all the things. Um, but yeah, it's those things, especially during the pandemic. Since the pandemic has gained more priority as far as importance is concerned. Because before, the pandemic for a lot of us slowed us down. And so pre-pandemic, I was like, gotta get this done. And a lot of times I was not eating and forgetting to eat and not grocery shopping and doing all these things. And then I would like binge eat or binge grocery shopping. Then I'm wasting a lot of things. And so now, it's helped bring kind of a balance to that practice. And yeah, I think that's the benefit of that ritual, kind of making it a consistent thing and being intentional and conscious about it and making space for it to even happen in my day to day life. Yeah.
Lindsey Farrar. What does hair and ritual, how do those two interact? And how do you feel like that's being translated to your family and
My
for all
boys. I got all boys. So hair, well, they've been having to. It's coming together. It's growing in. We've had some challenges. No, the baby has more hair. The middle baby, because they all babies, even the teen. The middle baby he had a very patchy start, and he's starting to fill in, so that's good. And then big baby, he has short hair now, but he had me like twist. I was tripping because I'm like, he wanted 2-strand twist, and I was like, to wear outside? Like, I thought that was a twist out. I didn't know we were wearing this out of the house. So he had to teach me that guys are wearing, 2-strand twists now. I was like, okay, I'll do my best. Twisting his hair. And it was funny because my mom was here and she's like washing his hair in the sink, and I was twisting it out, and it just was taking me back to all those times with my mom washing my hair in the sink, or
oh my god, my neck hurts just you talking about that right now.
Right? It's bad enough in the salon itself with the bowl, but like in the kitchen sink, and start away.
Deep exhale.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just talking about. I don't even know how it came up, but Nkrumah and I the other day were just talking about, and a memory came back of my auntie flat ironing my hair, or no, hot combing my hair actually, in my grandma's kitchen, the open flame hot comb. And just I was just like, man, what skill to not just burn everywhere. Like, how do you even know, like, and he was like, because you put it on the paper towel, and whatever it does, and just the idea that, like, that we've, a lot of these things were done obviously to assimilate, and to, which is the challenge, whether it's our food culture and all the different things. It's so challenging as a Black person because there's so much beauty and ingenuity and all these things that we've created that are genius, but then they also are shrouded with this, like, you have to reject it you feel like you have to reject some of it because in many cases it's simply not healthy for you. And so I think there's always this delicate dance of like these beautiful familial moments of like in my grandma's, who lived in a mobile home until the day she died, like this tiny little wood paneled mobile home, would not leave it. We tried. And sitting in there with my auntie on the stove and my grandma on the other one, my mom fussing over, and like just them surrounding me and covering me in this already small space, and like getting my hair right. And again, that rite of passage of like, you're a big girl now, so you get your hair. For me, it was still a moment of like, I get to do this, and I think there's such beauty in that, in just like that moment shared with the women who are the most influential in your life, and these rituals that they've received from their parents, their mothers and their mothers and their mothers, and there's this connection of like, going back to, my grandma and her mother Eliza and her mother Mary Eliza and her mother Ohio. And I just think about all these women and the power, and I have their images in my home, the ones that I have available to me. And that it's but one way that I feel so connected to them.
Meghan Watson. Let's tap into ritual really quickly. How do you create ritual in your life now? What does ritual mean to you?
When I think about ritual, it's kind of a word that evokes a lot of peace for me. Like the word itself feels so much better than routine.
Right? Oh my God, yes. Sorry.
I don't know what it is. Like linguistically, like I'm like, yes, I can tap into a ritual, but a routine, I'm like,
work.
Do I want that? Yes, it's obligation. And so ritual feels like a homecoming and a returning. And so I think I'm more engaged and active and inspired with ritual when I think of it as a place I come home to, a place I return to, because that feels better than something like I am trying to overcome an obstacle in order to obtain or meet a responsibility or a need. And, this isn't to say that some rituals can meet needs and fulfill responsibilities as well, but it doesn't always feel like that. And so that's what it means to me. And so I think I plug in whatever feels like home into that space. So it's about this time of the day, like about early afternoon, 1, 2 p.m. And I like to have a cup of tea. And not because I think I need the caffeine, but...
Not that there's any caffeine in tea. I know there is, but not enough.
Right.
It's the soothing nature of it.
It's the soothing nature of it. And it's that time of the afternoon where I usually take a break from client work, like from my morning clients, and I kind of eat lunch and sit on the couch and I have my tea. And really that's an opportunity to reflect on everything I've heard in the morning and like sitting with and opening up to that without feeling overcome by it. And so the tea is like a grounding homecoming to that mental headspace. But I could plug that in for pretty much anything, like making my bed in the morning or, the ritual of contemplation and reflection that comes after a really meaty therapy session. Yeah. So ritual, that's what ritual is for me.
Jasmin Foster. What does ritual mean to you?
Honestly, when I read, I got questions and I was thinking about this. The word ritual is scary to me.
Speak on it.
Because ritual means that I have to commit to doing something on a consistent basis. And within ritual means there's the failure for it to not be a ritual. I'm probably like, of course, being an owner of a stationery brand and owner of a journaling based company, I should be that person that's like journal every day, but I'm totally that person that's like journal when you feel like it's necessary. Note take when you feel like it's necessary. And I'm so impressed by people who have daily rituals and who can actually maintain the consistency of something daily. But what I will say, what I've adopted as like a ritual for myself is like try to live each day with the goal of freedom. Try to live each day with the goal of being kind. And try to live each day giving yourself grace. And then whatever those action steps underneath there that like ladder back up to those three things, there's like room for that. But those are really kind of like the three words. And I'm big on like thinking about like the word, like what were words that you want to continue to remind yourself. And I've been doing this probably for like the last 5 years. And there's words that have kind of stuck with me. And freedom, grace, and being kind are three that have like kind of stuck with me for the last 5 years. And so my action steps look different, but those are what I'm trying to achieve on a daily basis.
Shesheena Bray and Denise Beek. What ritual means to you, what rituals you may have in your life, and how they treat you and how they make you feel. So Shesheena, I see it in your face. I feel like you have some ready for me. So I'm going to jump to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, I can talk about ritual all day long. Yes, yeah. I mean, I have a heart to create more community ritual. When you talked about mourning, I'm like, yes, we need collective mourning rituals outside of funerals. We need collective mourning rituals for times like this. Like, this is not normal. And the only way I wouldn't say the only way, but one of the ways to move through it is to be able to hold the experience, to hold the grief, and that needs to be done collectively. And so ritual to me are the intentional things we come back to that are rooted, often rooted in spirit, but rooted in our humanity, rooted in our essence. And so for me, rituals that I come back to are time at my ancestral altar, time, and one of the things on my altars are flowers, but that is a ritual. My mindful time with my flowers is a ritual for me. Like, I'm cutting my flowers, right? I'm watering my plants. Like that's important time. I talk to them, I kiss them. That is important time. Prayer, right? Even I say prayers with my daughter every evening, and we have certain things that we repeat every evening. And even when and this is a good way to ensure that we're not going to bed upset with each other, because she'll have moments where she'll flail out and it's time for bed, and then you're like, are you coming to say my prayers? It's like, and it's like, you are more than capable, but it becomes an anchoring moment for us, right? And so opportunities to call on my ancestors, opportunities to lean into spirit, opportunities to relinquish feeling like I have to be in control, feeling like I have to know everything, and just to be present feeds me. And so I think ritual is very important. And I think it can be as sacred as, someone's quiet prayer time, to something that we might not see as sacred as like just slowing down to slowing down and sitting and enjoying a cup of tea while only being present to the tea. Like, that is also important and valuable. And so, yeah, get you some rituals, right? I think, my morning routine work, which if I'm honest, the pandemic has thrown off my morning routines. Like, here we are. But, you know, I would say with people, like, what distinguishes, you know, your routine, which is like just what you do on a regular basis, from your ritual is like also intent. And so, yeah, that opportunity to tap in, like, beneath the surface, or above the surface, however you want to look at that, adds depth. And so, yeah, ritual is important. It's juicy. Yeah, more ritual, please.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that. And I also love that insight into your relationship with your daughter. That was very sweet. Very sweet. Denise, can you share some of your rituals and what ritual means to you?
Yeah, no, Shesheena, I could hear you talk about ritual all day long. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I'm like, ooh, yes. So when I saw this question, I was reminded of this note that I have on my bulletin board, and I'm gonna read it because I forgot that it was there, and then I saw the word ritual, and I was like, oh, I have something on my bulletin board that I keep right here. And I don't know where, I can't tell you where this came from. I want to say it was some kind of like creative and astrological book or something that I was reading, but it resonated, and I'm going to read it. So it says, if you want to be proud of who you are becoming, get to know yourself through productivity. And I looked at that word and I was like, from what I remember, that word really not in like the capitalistic sense, but in the sense of like, being convicted to do something in the day, whether it is just getting up out of the bed and taking a shower and being present with the water that's hitting your body. That's productivity. Getting up and feeding yourself, productivity, right? So in that way, get to know yourself through productivity. Small everyday rituals are the heartbeat of your life. Consistency will provide you with the stability you need to do your work in the world. So when I think of ritual, I think of connectivity and consistency. Anything you do that connects you to yourself, or to spirit or to someone else, anything that you do consistently with intention, counts as a ritual. So I definitely have a prayer practice every morning and every night. I do with my son at night. We have a devotional that we read together, and then I ask him to tell me what the message was, in his own words. And that it is truly the heartbeat of my life. I've definitely gotten closer to myself by observing what it is I'm drawn to every day. Like, what do I really need to do every day before I end the day? And it's definitely prayer. It's definitely connecting with people I love, who truly see me and witness me. And it's the thing that allows me to do this work in the world. Yeah. So that is what ritual means to me.
Thank you all for joining us for this very special episode of The Unfolding presented by the Loveland Foundation. This holiday season, we hope to clear our therapy waitlist. If you'd like to join us in this effort and give the gift of therapy, go to our website, thelovelandfoundation.org, for ways to give. To stay updated on new episodes and any future programming, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, or check out our website, thelovelandfoundation.org.